it's transformed it. I mean, I think you'll probably hear that from everybody. I mean, particularly social media, it's so immediate. It's so wide-ranging, so wide-reaching. Many years ago when I worked in media, you could hit 50% of the population of Scotland by buying an ad in 2 newspapers. That's an unbelievable reach. You would find it, if you would have to spend millions and millions of pounds now, across a whole diverse nature of media opportunities in order to get that. Equally, you could create some social media, some digital media, and it would go out there. It wouldn't achieve that reach, but it would go out there and achieve reaches which were beyond anything that we could have imagined, and more importantly, that it's much more targeted, much more accountable, much more trackable. It's transformed it in both a positive ways, equally in ways where I think it makes our business think in terms of brand impact, brand protection. We try to create a consistent brand image in terms of just how we present ourselves as people, in terms of how we act as people, and also importantly, I think what we look like as a club in terms of the material that we produce. We've spent a lot of time kind of developing marketing material across every type of media, so digital, film, more traditional kind of brochure work and things like that has a very much a defined look and feel of Hibernian. So hopefully now if you see something that is Hibernian, if it's a community foundation or if it's an academy, if it's the first team, if it's Hibernian TV, you'll know that it's within this big Hibernian family. But that work is kind of has to still be ongoing. And we stand out, I think, in the marketplace because people actively come towards you. You're not actively selling. Well, you are in a way, but it's a different relationship between a club and its supporters and a club and people who are interested in football than it might be for us if we were trying to sell just a different product. And that's one thing I noticed quite early in football was that actually I was used to marketing and advertising and trying to find the audience, deliver the audience, buy the audience, and importantly get an impact on that audience. Actually, the audience was running towards us and wanted to consume the things that we were saying. And put a real reliance on and trust in us, So it's an interesting one. Mm-hmm. But I think we don't forget that there are people there who don't embrace digital, and that being the case, that we need to make sure that we've got some very traditional means for them to feel included. I think you can over-rely on digital, you can over-rely on the internet too much, but moreover now I think most people have access of some description via either a mobile device or a laptop or what have you. We produce material here that kind of spans, I think, most generations, and we try to make it relevant for most generations. You've still got a good old-fashioned flyer here, still a role for that. Equally, you'll see some of the digital work that we've done, some of the film work that we've done, which I would argue is up there with some of the best market material and production of market material that you might have seen anywhere else. And we've invested quite heavily in that as well. The department here is, we've got, I think, the right technology, we've certainly got the right people. It's football, sport, brings that emotion, and it really lets you kind of draw on that. I mean, I think the things I got excited about in marketing technology was probably sort of 10 years ago. I mean, the big innovation for me was when I worked at the airline, we could basically, the old-fashioned word now, but the cookies, you could create a campaign that was hitting, you'd have 50, 60, 70 million bought impressions. It doesn't sound like a lot now, but 10 years ago it was a significant amount. You would buy that, but equally you could track those impressions. And you could buy those impressions for almost no money, but you could then, if somebody came back to buy the product, then wherever that person had surfed, whatever website they had been on, that site or agency would get a commission on that. And that was for me pretty revolutionary at that point, because actually what you were doing was only paying for the business that actually made a purchase. The entry point for that was relatively minimal. Marketing was only for that maybe 15, 20 grand a month or something, and the awareness you were getting was unbelievable. That has moved on 100 times, right? And it's got 100 times more technical, and it's put in all these lifestyle filters. We've all seen what's happened with Facebook, but that kind of goes across all aspects of the digital world. So what I was experiencing 10 or 12 years ago is now much different. Digital technology is it's becoming scarily more relevant and accurate all the time. I think there's a million ways you can do that, to be honest. It's about innovation, it's about, there's any different use of media. You can create any kind of campaign, spoof or otherwise. And ultimately, you have to have a good product. If you can do whatever you like, you can create any kind of noise you want, but If you don't have a good message and a good product, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on it. Nobody's going to actually want to purchase it or use it or whatever it might well be. I think you can be dead tactical. There's 100,000 ways you can be tactical. We used to work in Scottish Government business many moons ago before I worked in football. And I remember it was a drugs campaign, a drugs and alcohol campaign, and it was particularly targeting young men and between the ages of sort of 17 and 25. It was heat-sensitive stickers that we used, but we put them in urinals. Sounds random, right? But actually when a young guy goes to the loo, they use a urinal, they've got to ultimately use the sticker, as it were, and it changed message. And I remember at the time that being a bit kind of controversial because it was government. But the amount of media and stuff that got because it was quirky and all the rest of it, I mean, it cost nothing, really, at the end of the day.